Hey, what's up, guys? Kevin here. Welcome to the Live for 25 Snowboard show. I'm here with TJ,
What's up, guys?
and in this video, I wanted to ask TJ about his first season living in a resort town, just some questions, and just get a whole feel of what it's like to live in a resort town. If you guys have any interest in possibly moving out to a resort town like Whistler, maybe give you guys some idea of what to expect, and yeah, just share some stories of life in Whistler. And I feel like it's pretty similar to other resort towns. So
Definitely,
TJ,
yeah.
let's get started with what was your reason for moving to Whistler in the first place?
Yeah, I just wanted to come up to Whistler to experience a new place. I've been to Whistler on some short trips a few times, so just being able to stay here the whole season, being able to ride with you a bunch this year, make videos, and just explore a new mountain and really get to know a new place.
Because you first came out as well like a few summers ago, and
Yeah.
I feel like was coming to Whistler, was it a unique experience coming to a place like Whistler for the first time, having, because like the town here is only here really because of the mountain. So was it a different feel compared to some of the other resorts you've rode at?
Definitely, yeah. That's something that's pretty unique about Whistler. And at that point in time, I was actually living in North Carolina, so that was a huge change. I hadn't spent much time in any like big mountain towns at all, or riding big resorts. So yeah, that was really cool. Going up to the glacier, being here for the summer, and I think something really unique. It's just a totally different vibe when the village, the resort, is the town.
Right.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's definitely a different vibe.
Yeah, those first few summers of you and Garrett coming out, like, it's an awesome feeling because after we were done riding, we would go down and we would just continue to have that, like, you almost feel like you're not off the mountain, even though you're down, you're in the village, you're maybe getting some food or shopping. You still feel like you're in the resort, even though you're in the town.
Definitely, yeah. And that's something that living here now for just coming into the summer, being here all winter, kind of in the fall as well. That's something that's really stood out for sure. Yeah.
So when you first moved here, I think we talked about this before you moved, like finding a place to live. Tell like the people that whole process, because finding a place to live in a resort town like Whistler can be like really difficult. And I know that like we talked about it a lot, but you managed to find a place pretty quickly. So tell the people like how you found a spot here in Whistler and maybe just what people should expect to go through.
Definitely. So I guess I'll start by saying I lived in Colorado, in Denver, and in Keystone before moving to Whistler. And Denver has its own kind of struggles finding a place, Keystone as well. And Keystone even more so. I already thought like it was really hard to find a place there. I was able to figure that out. So I was like, it can't be worse than that.
Yeah.
And then I came up here, Kevin kind of warned me. He was like, I think it is actually. And he was right. Yeah, you were right, man. It can be tough finding a place. So the route I went, there's a few different options. There's a few Facebook groups you can join. That's kind of what worked for me in Colorado as well.
Yeah. The social media groups. So in Whistler, there was it's like Whistler Locals. I think it's called Whistler Locals, or like Rentals for Locals Whistler.
Yeah, if you just search Whistler Housing on Facebook, I think there's two groups that'll come up, and so you just kind of apply to get in the group, and I think they pretty much let everyone in. They just have like a questionnaire you got to fill out, and then you can make a little ad for yourself. Just let people know you're looking for a place to live, and a lot of people will actually post the housing that they have available as well, whether that's a bed in a house or a whole unit available. So that's definitely something you got to do. And also Craigslist.
Yeah.
So Craigslist, same both ways. I mean, honestly, in the past, I've usually used Craigslist to find stuff. So I'm like looking at the classifieds, trying to see what was available. And honestly, a lot gets posted, stuff gets posted every day, but there's so many people that are, trying to do the same thing that you're doing. So
yeah,
they're on top of it. The listings are usually gone within a day or two or a week max.
Yeah, for me on Craigslist, I was like refreshing the page every day, and as soon as something would come up, I'd immediately send an email, try to meet up with the person, and that's how I've found my last couple places, just getting onto it as fast as possible. So how did you land the place you're in now? Because TJ actually has a really cool place in Whistler, and he's got a great roommate, and it's in a good area. So I feel like
I got lucky.
I really couldn't believe it when he landed the spot. So TJ, like, what was your secret to getting that dream location in Whistler?
So the secret that worked for me, I actually got a tip. I had like a short-term, like 1 month spot through a mutual friend with Kevin, and
where were you staying?
I was staying here in Whistler K with our friend Brent, who was with us in Japan.
Yeah, Brent.
Yeah, and so another guy that was staying at the house, his name was Daniel. He was like, man, it's really busy up here, but all the people with the good spots, they're not going to put up an ad for their place and then have to go through like 100 people hounding them to move into the spot. Yeah. They're going to look for someone that kind of fits, they think they might get along with, kind of, a roommate that they're looking for, and then reach out to you. So I actually made an ad for myself on Craigslist, just letting, people out there know that I was looking for a place. And I think it was less than a week I had someone reach out to me, immediately went and checked out the spot, and I think I signed a lease within 4 days of like seeing the place. There was obviously a few other people that he was kind of fielding for the spot.
Nice.
And it worked out. So yeah, definitely put yourself out there, make an ad for yourself, so that way,
like a housing resume.
Yeah, kind of like that. Basically just a resume, letting them know why you're here, what you're doing here.
That's what I did as well.
Photos,
like when I would send out like a reply email to places, I would just immediately include all of my details of past like living history, what I did, my goals for living in town, what I was like. Obviously renters want to hear that you're not gonna be partying and carrying on and causing a big mess. So
absolutely,
if you kind of like, I think we're like that anyway. Like we're not those things, but if you kind of show that, bring that to the table straight away, I feel like that's a good way to start.
Definitely, yeah, and definitely try to make a good first impression. I didn't like dress up or anything, but I wore, like some fairly nice clothes, and kind of almost went to like a interview for the apartment, and
nice.
Yeah, it worked out. Yeah, I'm super happy with the spot, and it's been really good so far.
So once you got the place, then I know like snowboard season started shortly after. So how did you find that like living in Whistler in this like resort town, like culturally with snowboarding, is it different? Is there like a different vibe on the mountain? Do you notice different things? Like when you come down, is there a different vibe as well? Like what's that experience been for you?
Yeah, so I think one really cool thing about Whistler is that since it is, all based around the mountain and the mountain activities, is that pretty much everyone that's here is doing the same stuff that you came here to do. So during the days, people are either working their job in the village or whatever they're doing, and if they're not doing that, they're making every effort to get up on the hill. So just a lot of like-minded people.
I found that, when I first moved to Whistler, I found that too. It's like everyone you meet, everyone's on the same page. So if you're after work, if you're grabbing some food, snowboarding, after snowboarding you're grabbing some food, then that person is also talking about their day. Like either they've been up in the morning or maybe they're going up tomorrow. So there's that commonality with everyone that you meet through the village. Even for like friends to snowboard with, if we're like in a snowboard shop, we may be looking at stuff. Like that's how we met. Like Andreas was just being in there buying some stuff, and Andreas had seen a few of the videos, and next thing you know, we're like riding with him, and he's coming on the trip to Revelstoke. So everyone has that commonality of
definitely
being in the same in Whistler for that same purpose. And I guess like one downside is that everyone is kind of on the same page, like, which is cool, but then you don't see some of the people that you see in normal life. So there's not like a lot of like older people, there's not a lot of like families, there's not a lot of families here that aren't on like some kind of vacation. So it's kind of like this weird but really cool scene where everyone's on the same page, but then you are missing all the normal people that you would maybe see in a city or a normal town.
It's definitely a bit of a bubble, but it's really cool, man. And it's pretty common to meet people that have actually been here for a while as well, that that are people are based in Whistler and they're out on the hill, they make an effort to kind of set up their life so that they have the opportunities to get out there.
Yeah.
And they know the mountain really well. They know the spots. They're happy to, talk with you and maybe share a little bit of knowledge about the mountain as well. So that was pretty cool. I ended up talking to a good bit of people this season.
Nice.
Just about like spots and, all kinds of stuff.
What about like on the mountain itself? So, like, because I know most resorts, they've got a lot of tourists, but when you're up there, do you feel like it's a different vibe or a different feeling compared to other places because everyone's living in this like small bubble?
I think
because for me, I'd say, like, say compared to when we would ride at Keystone in Colorado, I feel like there's almost like less pressure in snowboarding in other places where everyone's not in the bubble. It's almost like people are enjoying it a little bit more, and it's a bit more laid back. And in Whistler, I feel like because it's people come here and they're a bit more hardcore into the sport, that there's a little bit more competition or tension. Do you find that at all?
I think somewhat. There definitely, there's those groups out there that they're just, trying to push themselves, they're kind of like have their own groups, and they're like, there's so many people out here filming, like trying to make edits, like
creating a career out of snowboarding.
Yeah. So that's really cool to see up here, and it definitely creates a little bit of a competitive kind of dynamic sometimes, but for the most part, it's pretty friendly, and I think kind of on the weekends or holidays, you get those more kind of family crowds or people coming up from the city, and then it's a little bit busier, and you kind of get more of that vibe that I kind of would feel at like Breck or Keystone. But if you're up riding during the week, that's when all the locals are out, and you kind of get to see the people that are here just focusing on the snowboarding and trying to make it happen. Yeah.
Nice. How do you find it financially? Because living in Whistler is definitely a little bit more expensive, or possibly a lot more expensive than living in some places. And so you've lived in, like North Carolina, you've lived in Colorado, and, back home where you grew up, how do you think it compares just financially, like groceries, eating out, rent, all those things combined in Whistler, compared to some of those other places? And also for you too, like you're typically on the American dollar, so factoring the Canadian dollar, how's that worked out?
I would say generally things are inflated a little bit. Prices are a little bit higher for sure, but over time, especially like you've been here for a while, so you're able to kind of show me like the best spots that have like the deals. Like there are deals to be found, and then there's also just like kind of random expenses that you see, like cheese is really expensive up here, and little things like that. But using the American dollar definitely helps. Got to factor in the conversion rate, so that's been a big bonus for sure.
Nice.
From everything from just like going out to eat, groceries, to paying rent. So that's an advantage, but for sure just a little bit inflated. It takes more effort to get the stuff up here, so it's to be expected. Yeah,
one thing I found when first moved to Whistler is that when I would go to the grocery store, I wouldn't go with like a list. I would actually just go and then see what was on sale, and whatever was on sale, I would then start buying that stuff and then try to make like dinner or whatever out of that. Do you find that when you're grocery shopping, you kind of do that same thing, or have your like spending habits changed at all?
I definitely find myself doing that, and it's kind of nice actually. It's really convenient to be doing that in Whistler, because there's actually quite a few grocery stores up here, which is pretty surprising. So the village is kind of it's like the town, right? There's a couple of grocery stores in the village, and then there's pockets of neighborhoods surrounding that. So where I live, I'm lucky there's a grocery store right at the bottom of the hill where I live in Rainbow.
And your grocery store is like, it's called the Independent. It's like a cheaper Loblaws chain, right? So I think it's somewhat affordable.
Yeah, there's some good deals in there. A lot of times I'll go to Nestor's as well for produce, or for specific things that I feel like maybe they have some different brands, or like the quality of things maybe I like a little bit better. But I definitely, the biggest difference I think versus like living in Denver or Keystone is rather than going to the grocery store and like buying food for like the whole week, I find myself just getting stuff for the next couple of days, since I'm going to be passing by the grocery store anyway.
Nice.
Eating a lot more fresh foods that way, being able to find the deals, and
I guess
yeah, it's just really convenient to do that.
Yeah, I guess too. It's like when I first moved here, it was like that learning process of finding out where the cheaper spots were to eat, because Whistler caters to tourists. You have those like really nice fancy restaurants, or even just like the average restaurant I find is a little bit overpriced, because when you're a tourist, you're coming, you're gonna spend a little bit more money. But for us locals, you want to find those hidden gems in town, like Gone Eatery or Samurai Sushi, or like the burrito spot.
Oh yeah, La Cantina.
La Cantina. So finding those little Ingrids we went to the other day. So finding all the little sort of takeaway spots that are for like $10, you can get food that'll fill you up after riding, or even before. Like that's kind of something that we've been learning too. Is like on our way to the mountain, we're trying to find like those quick breakfast things that we can pick up that aren't too expensive. Yeah, I know that when you're in Colorado, you have your routine of like your breakfast spot. So how does that like whole morning routine, like heading to the mountain, how is that different, do you find?
It's a little different because, you know, and it's pretty much like I drive into the village and then I park, or sometimes we'll walk in from your place. So you're not like driving to your breakfast place, like waiting to get food and then going to the resort. It's kind of all part of the process. You're walking through the village for the most part anyway. And I think that's kind of part of the fun of moving to a new place, is like finding those spots that you really like, that have the deals that you're looking for. So yeah, I think, you know, I've over the first like couple of months here, I found like 4 or 5 places that I really liked, and I just kind of stick to that. So, you know, I'm not like thinking about it too much. And I guess that's kind of has its ups and downs, because it is good to, you know, continue to find new places. Like Ingrid's, is that what it was called? Yeah. That was my first time there just a couple of days ago, and they actually have it's a really good deal, and it's really delicious food as well. So nice. But yeah, we got a good routine going here in Whistler. I'm happy with it.
Yeah. What about socially? I know that moving to a place, it can be hard to meet new friends, meet new people. How has that been being in Whistler? Like, I guess one bonus is that everyone's doing the same thing, but at the same time, it's like sometimes you can get, I don't know, like just moving anywhere, trying to make new friends can be difficult. So how's that been? And even just like going out, if you like going out for like nightlife or socializing in town, I think there's like more, it's a little bit more limited because everything is based around the mountain. So we don't have like a bowling alley here. There's not like a pool hall, or we're missing some of the normal socializing things that most towns have. How did you find that part of it? Yeah,
I think that's definitely a pretty big difference up here in Whistler for a few reasons. And, you know, like for us, we're traveling a bunch, so that I'm like, you know, I'm usually out of Whistler just as much as I'm here in Whistler, so that's kind of been something to balance. And another thing, and it's fairly common in resort towns, but I think even more so in Whistler, is that a lot of the people that are here for the season are literally just that. They're here from the season. They're like from Australia or New Zealand or wherever they may be coming from.
Yeah, I found that hard.
That's interesting.
My first season, I found that hard because I'd be making friends, but the friends I would be making would be leaving in a few months. So then I started to almost like look for friends that I knew weren't going to leave or had the potential to stick around. Yeah. So do you find yourself doing that at all? Like almost like filtering your friends, just being like, oh, this person's leaving in a month. Like, do I want to commit time to getting to know them?
I mean, a little bit. I like, you know, if the opportunity comes up and there's like something fun to do, like play around a disc golf with some new people, or, you know, maybe go out and shoot some pool or something, I'm down for that. But yeah, it is definitely something in the back of the mind for sure. You know, I'm gonna be here for another year, so definitely trying to find a friend group that I'll be able to do all the fun things I like to do with throughout the whole year. So, but I'm glad you're here, you and Chris. So got the core group, Jill as well. So yeah, nice little foundation. Absolutely.
Sweet. How do you think living in a resort town like Whistler, where everything is focused around the mountain and snowboarding, how has it affected your snowboarding? Do you think that it's like a good thing, a bad thing? Do you feel like other places you've progressed more or less? Like, how has that been?
I think that there's definitely there's so many good riders here. I think like in Colorado there's a lot of great riders as well, but even more so in Whistler. I think there's just any given day you can go up there's going to be someone just doing things that's blowing your mind. So there's that kind of motivation, just seeing that go down right in front of you to be like, oh man, like I want to learn that, or maybe that'll inspire you to try something a little bit different or maybe a little bit new. So it's been cool, yeah, and the level of riding here is definitely very high.
So do you think that's inspired you to kind of push your own riding a bit?
Yeah, I think so. Well, this has also been a really different season for me because there's just been so much snow.
Yeah.
So I really didn't start riding park again until about a month ago. So that was really cool. I think being able to challenge myself and push myself with free riding, and like the biggest thing with that is honestly being able to ride with you, because you've been here for a while. So many great zones and just exploring. That's been so much fun.
I think like just being in a resort town, having everything so accessible, it allows you to go up like 5-6 days a week, or even if you have like a small injury or whatever it is, you can kind of like take that time off, but then get right back to it as soon as you're feeling ready. So
definitely
that's been one of the big benefits. And then when you have like we have a great sort of like partnership with the videos, so we always have somebody to ride with.
Yeah,
but I think
that's
even
huge.
if you don't have like that friend group and you go up snowboarding, you're gonna meet people on the chair or in the gondola that you're gonna find somebody to snowboard with.
Absolutely, yeah. People are definitely very nice, very friendly. Just the other day, I met a kid from Australia who's going to be in Jindabyne this summer, and we took some laps through the park, just kind of getting warmed up. And it's super easy to make friends up here. And a lot of people, I think, make an effort to kind of get in that situation where they're working evenings, and so they get to ride most days during the week.
Yeah.
So you can definitely meet some cool people pretty easily up here.
Awesome, yeah.
And
All right, so before our 25 minutes is up, let's take a few questions. We got people on here. Thanks everyone for tuning in again. I hope some of this info helped you guys out. And we've got, Borden 24/7 said, TJ and Kevin, you should have come hit up Super Park 22 in Crystal. Stuff is bananas.
Man, yeah.
Yeah, maybe next year we'll get. Do you have to be invited to Super Park?
Yeah, you have to get the invite. So I think if we reached out, we probably could have got an invite. But the features at Super Park are literally insane. They're so big, so creative, and it's next level compared to even the large features you would see through the winter at a resort. So
right. So maybe next year we'll reach out to those guys and get ready for some massive features.
I'd love to check it out.
I've heard like great things about Crystal Mountain, so it'd be great to get down to Crystal Mountain at some point.
Yeah, get down to Washington.
Another one, Borden 420. Noticing the cat in the pocket. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. What is that? Rip and dip.
Yeah. Riley says, hey guys, how do you fund board for a whole season? And Kevin, I think you mentioned that you were an instructor a while back. Is being an instructor beneficial? What are the perks of the job? So we fund the trips through the YouTube channels. TJ's at Board Archive. Check him out, his channel as well, and Board Archive on Instagram.
Yeah.
At Snowboard Pro Camp on Instagram.
Check us out on Insta for sure.
When I first moved out here, it was to teach snowboarding, and it was like just the perfect job for me. I loved it. I was up on the mountain every day. On my weekends, I'd be snowboarding, and it was an awesome way to make friends. You get like a free season's pass if you work for the mountain, so that's a perk. And you can also get into like their staff housing. So all those things kind of really helped me on my first season. It was a struggle. There was a lot of like hurdles at the same time. Like living in staff housing can sometimes not be so glamorous, and working for the mountain every day, it kind of takes away from your own personal riding, but it was a great way to make friends, and I loved doing it. I did it for 9 years.
Yeah, and I think kind of going back to what we were talking about at the very start of this, there's all kinds of jobs you can get working for the mountain, get that free pass, maybe get help with accommodation as well. So that's something to check out as well, regardless of the resort that you might be working at.
Yeah, great question, man. Just scrolling through, thanks everyone for the shout out. Caitlin West, Spartan XYT,
Got Morgan West on the chat.
We got Catman watching from Sweden. Let's scroll down, see if there's another. We got a super chat from Sasha Moist. Thanks so much for the super chat.
Hey.
And yeah, Quinn, thanks for tuning in, man. I'm just looking through to see if there is. So Sasha says, what would you say to a city slicker? What would you say a city slicker would miss living in Whistler, BC? I think a city slicker, what would they miss? They'd miss maybe some of the like variety of like different restaurants and like shows and stuff like that.
That's the first thing that came into my mind as well.
But then you wouldn't miss a lot of things. Like I lived in the city for a year, and like the traffic, once I got up to here, that like not having traffic was amazing. Being like knowing the people, like if you go out for groceries or whatever, like everyone's like saying hello a lot more, like holding doors for people. So those are the things that are different from the city. Anything that you miss from living in Denver?
I think just I don't know if Vancouver's quite the same, but in Denver I found it's a big community of people that are all very active as well, and it was a little bit easier to make friends, I think, in the city. And so I missed that a little bit, and just like Kevin was saying, the variety of places to go out, things to do at night. You know, there's just a bit more going on, but there's still plenty of stuff to do here. And you know, having the mountains in the backyard is an easy trade-off.
There is tons of stuff to do here, yeah. And like the mountain is your backyard, so yeah, you're never bored. But yeah, thanks TJ, man, for stopping in and talking to us, man.
I'm happy to be here, man. Thanks for all the good questions. This was kind of a surprise off the cuff for me, dude. You nailed it, man. A lot of good stuff.
I wanted to surprise you. Yeah, thank you guys all for tuning in. If you can, give this video a like. If you guys have any other questions about living in a resort town, leave us some questions down in the comments. We'll definitely check them all out and answer as many as we can.
Yeah.
And subscribe to TJ at Board Archive and on Instagram. And follow me on Snowboard Pro Camp as well.
Absolutely, guys. Yeah, hopefully this answers some questions, and if you've been thinking about it, it'll get you to make that move out to the resort town.
Yeah, just do it. It's worth it.
You won't regret it.
You won't regret it. Thanks, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you guys in the next one soon.